pineal gland is this little tiny pea-shaped object inside, deep inside the brain. In most cases, a lot of people represent it up here as the third eye, but in true reality, it's not in the front. It's way deep in the center of the brain. It's been known since deep antiquity, super ancient times, which makes you question how in the world did they know that this thing was an eye? In other words, it has photoreceptors. Now, you would have to be able to, first of all, do an autopsy on somebody, take it out, and then analyze it to see, what capabilities it even has. So they had some technology, I'm just saying. But they knew that this thing had the capability of receiving photons and light waves and then channeling it throughout the body, which is pretty interesting. Also, the third eye, it has these hairs on it, which are like receiving antennas, because it's your spiritual antenna. It's your connection to the higher dimensions that exist. We know that this universe has 11 dimensions based on string theory. And what's interesting, in 2022, a new scientific study came out. They just discovered that the human mind can exist and perceive up to 11 dimensions, the same amount as the universe. So we now know that our mind is a fractal of the whole, and this is peer-reviewed quantum physics. So it's not like off the top of my dome, right? But that has primarily to do with the third eye. It's also made of crystals. There's crystal in there, and crystals have an amazing power. When you put pressure on a crystal, it releases energy. That's what's inside of a lighter. If you have a big lighter, when you spark the lighter, that's not a flint in there or some type of Kindle. That's actually a crystal inside the big lighter. You put pressure on it, it sparks. When you put the pressure of the spinal fluid on the pineal gland, it sparks. You can actually transmit. You can push the fluid up your spine into that area and put pressure. It'll spark. When it sparks, it releases DMT. And through breath work, you can create the same experience as taking ayahuasca, which is why I'm a big believer in breathwork meditations. You can have your own DMT. You don't have to take it from a plant and have somebody out in the jungle somewhere. You don't even know if they're going to take advantage of you, because it's happened to a lot of people. You can do it in the privacy of your own home, watching a breathwork video with a guided meditation, and you can trigger the same exact response through a breathwork meditation as taking ayahuasca. But it's so amazing because it allows you to reach higher levels of dimensions and consciousness within your same body. And it's just really gives you a perception that you normally wouldn't have. When you tap into understanding how the third eye works, it's almost like waves of water crash on you when you're in the ocean if you're just standing still. So the average person is like a person standing in the ocean with the wave crashing over them. And when the wave crashes, that's when they realize, oh, this moment just happened. But when you're operating from your third eye, you're surfing on the wave. So you're closer to real-time information, because scientists discovered that there's a 7 to 8 second delay in between the time that something happens and the time that we realize it happens. They did this amazing scientific study where they put people in different rooms, dark rooms with TVs and electrodes, EEG connected to their brain, connected to computers. Originally, this experiment was simply to do one thing and one thing only: see what the brain looked like based on certain emotions. So every 10 seconds, they would show a different image: a woman coddling a baby, a bed of flowers, somebody getting murdered, a car accident. So it was flipping back and forth between tragic and peace. What started happening in every case study is this: the brain started transmitting to the computer 7 to 8 seconds ahead of time what the next image was going to be. And they realized something. Wait a minute. The brain has already experienced, consciousness has already experienced what's happening. It took us in this corporeal body 7 to 8 seconds to actually realize it, for it to be now current time. So they realized there's this delay between information that exists and the human body processing it, and it being us being made aware of it. So everything that we see going on around us is 7 to 8 seconds delayed, unless you're moving from the third eye, the pineal gland. When you tap into that, you bring awareness to it, your intuition skyrockets, and intuition turns you into a surfer versus a person that's standing in the ocean waiting for the wave to crash over them.
What are a few ways we can detox our pineal gland?
The first thing is your water. You must drink unfluoridated water. Your water, most water, especially tap water, has fluoride in it. You go to a restaurant, you say, I'll have a glass of water. That's fluoridated water. Everywhere you go, they're giving you that fluoridated water. Some bottled waters also have fluoride in them, so you have to be careful what bottled waters you get. Saratoga is great, and Mountain is great. Those two. Fiji is also pretty good. So those are the top 3 bottled waters that I drink. The first 2 I named, Saratoga and Mountain, come in glass bottles, which I love because you get away from plastic that way. Fiji, unfortunately, does come in plastic, but you want to make sure you don't leave your bottled water in your car in a hot summer. When you leave bottled water in a car or somewhere where it's hot, the BPAs, which is petroleum, leach from the plastic into the water, and then you drink the water. And they did studies, extensive studies on this now. It's been now mainstream news that drinking bottled water stored in your hot car will give you cancer. So you think you're doing something healthy and you're still killing yourself. So get away from the fluoride and get a water filtration system for your house. If you can't afford that, try to at least get a filtration system for each faucet. One for your shower head and one for your drinking water if you're not buying bottled water. Because when you take a shower, your skin is as an organ, is taking in about 40 to 50% of whatever's in that water. So we know that in the water is fluoride, pharmaceuticals, now high levels of pharmaceuticals, and other toxins, including microplastics. So when you go and take a shower, you now put all that on your body, and then you come out of the shower, and a few minutes later, you start to feel weird. Why? It's because you've just poisoned yourself with pharmaceuticals. It's absorbed into the body, into the bloodstream, and now you've just given yourself everyone's in the neighborhood's prescription medication. And then you can't boil water. Don't boil your water. Some people try to shortcut boiling water. Boiling water is worse than drinking the tap water, because if you remember from chemistry class, some people probably didn't study this, but when you boil water with fluoride in it, the fluoride converts into fluorine and becomes 10 times more toxic for the body. It's a neurotoxin at that point because the molecules shift. Like people like to cook with water from the sink. For some reason, they don't make the connection. If I put this water from the tap, I'm cooking it, it's going to be boiling. That's going to make it better anyway. What they're doing is they're making a toxic soup. So you don't want to like put your spaghetti in a pot of water from your sink and boil it. You just created fluorine, and now you're boiling your spaghetti in fluorine. No good. Brain toxin. You want to look for filters that filter out fluoride and pharmaceuticals and bacteria and viruses. Those will be a little bit more expensive than just the basic filter, but it's worth it to make sure that you're putting in. Your body is made of 70 to 80% water. So you want to be putting in clean, fresh water into the body to rejuvenate your cells and your mitochondria. And so one of the biggest things you can do to detox your pineal gland is just drinking a lot of fresh, clean water that's not fluoridated, that's not toxic. And, and then the other way is to eat clean. Don't eat a lot of processed foods. Get exercise. And meditation is another great way to keep the pineal gland activated, specifically breath work meditations. I have a lot of breath work meditation. I think I have three 2-hour breath work meditations on Forbidden Knowledge TV that people can go and watch. Well, we know that the way that we perceive energy and fields and magnetism and time and everything else is all very spiritual. We're talking about multidimensional thoughts. The way our mind works is multidimensional. The way the universe works is multidimensional. And so what somebody's doing at that point is they're tapping into the field. And the field has all information. And we know that through the pineal gland, which is your spiritual antenna, it has the ability to receive information as well. So our cells even are receptors. Now we know this through real scientific experiments. Our cells also receive information. So we're talking about the ability for our body and our mind to receive information directly from the field and give us that higher level of sensory perception that gives us the ability to do incredible things. So I started experimenting. I would do thought experiments with myself. I realized that every decision I make is going to have a consequence. It could be a good consequence or a bad consequence. And so I began to do thought experiments. Well, let me try this. Let me think about this. And then now let me meditate before I act on this decision. Now let me see all the potential future outcomes of this one decision until I get to the outcome that I specifically want. And then I know, okay, wow. So if I alter my decision just ever so slightly, I can get to a specific one. It's like tuning the dial on the radio. Yeah. Right. So as I alter my decision slightly, make changes to what I'm thinking I'm going to do until I find the right one with the right outcome, then I focus in on that and I hone in on that and I put all the action and energy directly into that one decision. They're finding out through quantum physics that spirituality and science goes together, not apart. And that the quantum physics is explaining the spirituality side. And they're beginning to realize that there's only one consciousness that exists, and it appears to be permeating everything throughout the entire universe. not just every human being, but everything that exists, every individual atom that exists is also part of this whole energetic field of this grid, and also is tapping into this multidimensionality, this higher dimensional universe that does exist. So we're intrinsically connected to this multidimensional universe consciously. So all this is now just, finally becoming proven by quantum physics, quantum mechanics, standard physics, and all astrophysics. They're all coming together and realizing, wow, we have something special here. We're beginning to understand how the mind works. It's a real simple equation. It's thought multiplied by action equals manifestation. I can read 1,000 books and memorize all that information and sit down in a chair and have all that knowledge inside of my head. But until I apply any of that knowledge, I'm no good to myself or anybody else. I'm just a person with a catalog in my brain, but I'm useless until I act on the knowledge. Knowledge is not power, but applied knowledge is power. And that applying the knowledge part takes action. And that's where the action steps come in. Setting goals, doing your meditation, following up on things, being self-sufficient, believing in yourself, understanding the power that's in you, and then trying to achieve benchmarks, celebrating those benchmarks, things like that move you towards that goal of manifestation. And so when you realize and understand that, you understand the power of manifestation is the key to ushering mankind back towards the golden age. So one of the biggest reasons why I teach manifestation techniques and let people see the power of understanding how to access other dimensions of information and how to bring it and collapse it into our reality is because for us to get to that golden age, we need mankind on the same frequency. We need everyone focused on positivity, ingenuity, love, understanding, prosperity, abundance. And when everybody's on that frequency, we're going to shift and move. Now, we're already beginning to hit the frequency. Now we're in the beginning stages. And so we just have to really focus on positivity and stop falling for the divide and conquer tactics, learn how to love one another, and learn how to help one another, be of service to others, and get on that manifestation frequency, and mankind will survive, mankind will thrive, and mankind will take the boot off of its own neck, because we're the ones with the boot on our own neck. Nobody's put it there but us. It's us. We'll remove that boot from our neck, and we'll stand up like a brand new baby learning how to walk, and we'll take our steps, and eventually we'll be running. And our birthright is to reclaim control of this planet in a way that it should be, a green, loving planet, and also our birthright in space. We are powerful beings, and that it's time to go to inner space. We have to take a journey to inner space. We keep going to the outside, and we're taught and programmed. You've heard me say this before many times on many podcasts and so forth. When we're born, we're given a name, a race, and a religion, and we spend the rest of our lives defending a false identity. And that programming code locks onto us so hard that we pass that from generation to generation. It's almost like a curse. But when we finally relinquish that and give that away and take a journey to inner space to discover who we are, what spiritual powers we have, and our connectedness to our higher self, like Matt was talking about, now we're talking about making some real progress. And you want to go another step higher. When you begin to meditate and really take a journey within yourself, and the voice that you hear in your head morphs from this big, deep voice, and you stop imagining a guy with a white robe and a magic wand, but that morphs into you talking to you. That's when you're getting to a much higher level of consciousness, because the voice in your head, it's your voice. It's not this outside illusion voice that you're pretending it to be. It's the voice that you have from your higher self talking to yourself, and that voice should sound like you and nobody else. And so when you start, digging into some of the ancient mysteries and these ancient texts, you had to be an adept initiate even to get into a mystery school. They had to see something special in you that was worthy of them spending energy on you. You didn't just walk in and say, "Hey guys, I want to learn these mysteries." It worked out that way.
You're like, "See you later." You're like,
and cut off his head. And so, you had to really be somebody that was showing that you were already different in some kind of way. You saw things different. You thought different. You had these innate skills and abilities that they were like, this person, if we can teach them how to tap into this knowledge, they will explode internally, and they can then continue to pass down this infinite knowledge that we can give them. And so now we're in an era where this knowledge is available to everyone. right? Now, it's not taught openly in schools and things like that. You have to know where to go, you know, reading books like the one that Matt and I have written and many other books that Matt has written and so forth. But the information is out there. And so what happens is we're in the space and the time where mankind is under a new sun. And we're the ones now, we are the new sons of Atlantis that are ready and willing, should be willing, to take in this knowledge and digest it, discern it, understand it, and activate it. You know, what I learned in all of my studies, and the biggest part of how people can learn how to not only study this knowledge and utilize it, it's not just gaining the knowledge. It's not just about, okay, I studied these mystery school knowledge. I've been reading all these books about esoteric wisdom and understanding and ancient civilizations. And I got all this in my head. Now, what do I do with it? Well, the key is you have to apply it, you see, because knowledge is not power. That's actually not correct. The application of knowledge is actually power. When you begin to apply what you've learned and see it working in your own life, you know, this is why people say, you know, well, Billy, why do you have these nice cars and nice houses and nice things like that? Well, the reason why I do that is because I'm trying to attract people into my consciousness web. I want to bring people who are out there who aren't even interested in what I have to say, but I'm catching them with a little bit of a diamond. I'm capturing with a little bit of a gleam and glimmer over here. And see, because when people see that things that you're talking about are actually working in your own life and you're showing some level of what they perceive as success. If it wasn't for that, success is so many different things. But I understand what it takes to get the people who need to hear this word. And I show that, I splash it at them. Why? Because I'm showing them I know how to utilize this information to do whatever I want and work however I want, manipulate and do whatever I need to do in this matrix and make it work for me. And they now believe me because what they're seeing is I've got the proof in the pudding. Now I'm reeling them in. Now they're here. Now they're getting the knowledge. Now let's take it to the next step. Apply this in your own life. Start learning how to manifest. Start learning how to help people. Start learning how to believe in yourself. Stop self-sabotaging yourself. And so here comes the newer lessons. And so what we see is this process where first you become the student, then when the student is ready, we know the teacher will appear. Eventually, when the teacher is ready, the master will appear. And that's the part that we're all trying to get to because we're learning every single day. Me, Matt, you, everybody, we're all learning consistently. It's a nonstop effort. But the process is an on and upward process. The key thing, though, is once you get the wisdom and the knowledge in your head, and you start to apply some of the fundamentals in your life, and you see that it actually works, that's when you're really making it somewhere, and you can begin to then hand that knowledge and wisdom down like the ancients did to the next generation. And when so many people get to that knowledge and that understanding over time, we get a certain, massive a number, the whole planet's going to shift. We just got to get to that certain number that's going to trigger a mass awakening globally. It's happening right now at a very slow pace, but I think there's another expansion waiting off sometime in the future to happen as well.